What is going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? The ACMGS Gamer here, and today we're here to react to the news. Ubisoft has officially lost 50 developers as Game Target's 2027 release. Of course, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Hexe. If you don't know what that is, we will get into the rumors here in a bit. Um, but it is understood, according to Insider Gaming, that around 50 developers have been moved from Hexe to Ubisoft's Interproject team, which is a home for developers who are not assigned a project at Ubisoft. And then allegedly, if you are not reassigned within a 3 month period, they could face redundancy, which I'm assuming means they get fired or they're laid off. As first mentioned by ex Jonathan Jean Goodson, who began overseeing the franchise earlier this year, has decided to remove the quote unquote cat companion feature from Assassin's Creed Hexe. Instead, the game will take a more grounded approach to witchcraft, with the game's protagonist understanding the science of chemicals, which means she would know how to make a smoke bomb, which to ordinary people would mean it looks like she can disappear. So, this news came shortly after the Black Flag Resynced reveal, where everybody was all hyped about it, and then they came out and they said 50 developers have been moved. There is also rumor that originally Hexe was going to have a June 2027 release. Sources say that that's going to be delayed to possibly holiday 2027 or even maybe early the year after that in 2028. Um, so this game allegedly, Hexe has been kind of an issue um, for a while now. And the reason that I say that is because they kind of went back to this Odyssey, Valhalla, uh, not Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, Shadows kind of combat. Now, what do I mean exactly by this? I mean that it felt like after Mirage and after the Black Flag resynced thing, which they would have known internally about their upcoming projects. Um, Shadows was kind of a back to the roots, quote unquote, in terms of the stealth, but in terms of the more active gameplay as the samurai with the active abilities, it didn't really feel like a return to roots. The only portion that felt like that would be when you're playing as the actual assassin, Naue, and with the stealth parts. And I am happy that in Black Flag Resynced, they actually brought over some of those stealth mechanics from Shadows to Black Flag. But the issue with this is that they're like, okay, yeah, we're return to roots, quote unquote, as they say in Shadows, and then they knew they were going to have the Black Flag remake, but the problem is that Hexe seemed like it was going to go back in the RPG direction. Now, while that is disappointing, and they did explicitly acknowledge that Black Flag is not an RPG, it does look like it's going to head towards that way. Um, we haven't seen everything yet to determine whether or not it has the same UI system. To me, it looks very similar to Shadows, and so I don't know why they're not calling it an RPG. Um, the way that it looks so far, it's looking to be very much that similar, same vein, same capacity. So a lot of people did end up enjoying Odyssey. They liked the combat. For a lot of people, it was their first AC title, and that saddens me because then they're like, "Oh, I like this better than the older games," and I don't like it. So I wrote this article back on January 13th. I'm over on Substack. Go follow me. I do a lot more news and updates over on Substack compared to YouTube these days. So this was my write up for what return to roots even means. Um, so the issue with Hexe is that more than likely they're not gonna fix the modern story. They need to bring it back to Desmond. The last kind of update that we got was, let's see, Valhalla. Um, and they haven't really. The last update for Desmond, I believe that we got, yeah, was Valhalla with Layla, and so they didn't even touch it or address it in Mirage, and they didn't touch it or address it in Shadows. And they're not going to address it in the Black Flag Resynced, and I don't think they're going to address it with Hexe. And that's the problem, is that they kind of leave you on a cliffhanger, and then you're like, okay, you do Valhalla, and Mirage, I think was 60 at launch. I could be wrong. It could have been 40, but I think it was 60 at launch. Um, so Mirage was 60, Shadows was 70, and so basically that's two. By the time they do, let's leave out Resynced, and let's do Hexe. That's three games that they've gone without completing or even updating the main story they were dealing with all those years ago. So to me, it's ridiculous that they're not even going to touch on it. And for an OG fan that does like the modern day because it keeps the everything else relevant, it's ridiculous that they're not even going to address it. So for me, if they're not going to address it in any of the new games, there's really no point in playing the new games because the point to playing the games to begin with was to see where it took Desmond, because Desmond was supposed to use the Animus to search for pieces of Eden to figure out how they're going to defeat the Templars. And they've kind of just dropped that whole scenario and that whole narrative since Valhalla. And we haven't gotten any updates since. So for me, it really isn't worth it unless they're going to bring in the modern day for it. In terms of Valhalla, the average gameplay time was 70 hours, and we got maybe 1 hour worth of modern day cutscenes. For me, it's not worth it. Something else that more than likely they're gonna piss me off with is gonna be the combat, which is what they did with Resynced. Um, More than likely they're gonna use the active abilities, and I'm not gonna want to play that game either. So for me, if there was a section of the modern day in there that was playable like an AC3, for me it wouldn't be worth it to spend an hour outside as some random character um, compared to another 70-hour story dealing with controls I don't have to and don't want to play and don't want to waste my time or money on. Um, so, with that being said, the third mistake would be the parkour, which we have seen that they did update that in the Anvil engine with AC4. However, at the time that I wrote this, that wasn't announced, and Mirage was looking a little bit better, but they didn't go through and re-update it previously. It wasn't until I think there were some issues with Shadow's parkour that they hadn't brought back that Mirage had. Um, the fourth mistake here obviously would be the mistake of having multiple main characters and or having them have multiple genders, because there is only man and woman, and it doesn't make any sense if you're going to have a dual protagonist. um, it just doesn't work. We've seen it not really work with Odyssey. We saw it didn't really work with Shadows. Excuse me, in my opinion. There's just too much to really have you enjoy or get involved with one character, and they want to try and split that into two. And instead of making one character really look good, they make two characters look kind of mediocre. Um, so the thing that did worry me originally was that with the name like Hexe, it seemed like instead of once again playing as an assassin, we were going to end up playing as a witch. And that's kind of where I drew the line. I'm like, I don't want this. Why would we, as an assassin, be able to quote unquote cast spells? And this comes from, I believe it was an internal demo that people had seen, or maybe a closed off press brief or something, where people allegedly saw that you could use your powers to either transform into a cat or take possession of a cat and use that cat to distract enemies. Now, thanks to Jean Goodson, allegedly they're taking out all of the magical features because they know how much Assassin's Creed fans hate that shit, and they know how much they hate those RPG elements. So now that they are aware of everything that's happening, it was originally my belief that we didn't know what direction was going. I previously believed that Hexe was in such deep development that they couldn't really change anything at the moment, and that whatever they were currently working on wouldn't really be affected until the next one. However, with them removing the magical element and with them losing about 50 devs, there more than likely is going to be huge chunks of the narrative that they have to rewrite entirely. Not necessarily start from scratch, but keep kind of what they have and figure out how to work their way around it. So, with that being said, if you have not seen the video I posted yesterday about Black Flag Resynced, please make sure to go check that out. Thank you for watching this video. Also, go check out the Substack. It is just called the ACMJS, and you can find me over there where I have more content on things that are not Assassin's Creed related. But I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that may be. Peace. I'll see you next time.